word that everyone is avoiding following the minister's tough words overnight is retrenchment.
Yeah, it seems inevitable for many people, many analysts that I've spoken to, that of course Eskom has really gotten itself in such a position where it's got this bloated workforce. In fact, looking at the figures from 2017, that's its latest financial report, Eskom has a workforce of around 47,000 people. Now, this is an issue for Eskom in the fact that there have been locked-in wage negotiations, and the three trade unions in these negotiations represent around 84% of that workforce. Now, when you look at that financial report from last year, it says that by 2022, Eskom wants to have reduced its workforce by around 13,000 people. So around 36,000 is where it wants to find its headcount in 2022. So of course, that means cutting jobs. But when I spoke to Eskom today, they're saying that this strategy of this financial report from last year is the old strategy, and now they're embarking on a new strategy in order to save money by avoiding to cutting jobs.
Now, some people say that Eskom generates more strategy documents than power itself, but let's leave that. The actual word retrenchment, job loss, was that put to the utility?
Yes, most definitely. I asked them straightforward, will you be retrenching? Does that not seem inevitable at this point? They said no, this is not the strategy that we're going to use in order to be able to afford wage increases. In fact, Khulu Pasiwa, the spokesperson, before speaking to me, made a phone call to the CEO, Phakamani Hadebo, in order to be sure about the facts that he was going to be putting forward today. He said that the power utility is looking at saving costs in a matter of looking at its coal production and coal, how it buys coal. It's looking at increasing its production. It's looking at a number of strategies, but cutting jobs at this point is not one of them.
But given that there is pressure on Eskom to reduce headcount, whether it's an old strategy document or a new strategy document, that is common cause, that bloated middle and top management component of Eskom needs to be reduced. Inevitably, whether it's now or whether it's next year, we are going to see a reduction in the workforce, and that means that people will be retrenched.
That's what unions have maintained, that if Eskom is going to reduce jobs or reduce the headcount anyway, it has to start at the top. We know that Eskom has around 800 executives who earn bloated salaries, who get exorbitant benefits, so that continues to really eat away at the finances of Eskom. But when I spoke to them today, they said, listen, the workforce we have right now, we think we can make do without having to cut jobs, possibly, but still being able to save money. They're also looking into a company such as Trillion that still owe them money. They said McKinsey has paid us back. We're going after Trillion now. They're also going after municipalities that owe them around 40 billion rand. So that's a lot of money that Eskom needs to recoup, which is going to take a number of years. But what we know is that these wage increases they have promised will not trigger or fast track the process of retrenchment.
Is there any sense of a breakthrough then, Slee, as far as these negotiations are concerned?
At this point, the negotiations will, the agreement, in fact, what's going to make or break it is the issue around bonuses. Eskom has already put 2 offers on the table now, based on a 7% wage increase over the next 3 years. If the unions take this offer, they have to have a guarantee from the power utility that workers will be getting bonuses. The issue around bonuses is actually being discussed today in a central consultative forum at Eskom. When I was leaving Megawatt Park, in fact, the meeting was in fact about to begin. And so the unions will be told today whether the power utility will be able to afford bonuses. We also understand that the negotiations will, of course, resume next week, Friday. This is when the unions are expected to give the Eskom an answer with regards to these 2 new offers. But what's really going to make or break it, whether the unions will sign or not, is whether Eskom will be giving bonuses.
And surprisingly, given the tricky terrain of this round of negotiations, as we've said, a month or a little bit more now, the unions themselves have been remarkably solidified.
Most definitely. In fact, we're close to the end, I think, to these negotiations. Nobody has wavered. They've all remained united. It seemed at one point that Solidarity was ready to sign, and this was when the power utility was offering around 4 to 6% for a wage increase. But they've steered the course. They've managed to remain united. maintaining that they don't want to negotiate through the media. And so a lot of the information that I've been getting coming out of the negotiations have been from the sources inside who obviously don't want to be named. But next week, Friday, we find out whether we have a deal or not.
And just finally, the dangerous overhang as far as the story is concerned, in spite of assurances from Eskom to the contrary, there is still the potential spectre of load shedding.
Most definitely. That is something I think we have to live with as South Africans and get used to the idea that load shedding has become our reality. The point of the matter is that during cold months such as these, the power supply and demand, the ratio does not coincide. So in fact, we have an issue where we have over demand and under supply. So that is something that is Eskom's reality at this stage, and these negotiations haven't really boded well for that process, because we saw how there were pickets in the beginning which led to load shedding being implemented for the first time since 2015.
Supply-demand equation is not helped by the chilly weather that many parts of South Africa are currently experiencing. Silindelo Masikane, thank you.